the facts of the case. Hanif Basree bin Rahman, the accused, was being charged under Section 302 of Penal Code for the murder of his intimate friend, Binti, the deceased. However, the accused has been acquitted and discharged by the learned High Court judge. Disappointed with this decision, the prosecution then appealed this case before the Court of Appeal and Federal Court. However, both courts dismissed their appeal. On 5th December 2003, around 4:30 in the morning, Kenneth Michael Yetiawan and Nur Azura, which were the deceased housemates, came back from drinking before they found out the deceased was not alive in her room. We were very different positions. Strange or disturbing position. Said that both of her hands and legs were tied, while her face facing downwards, and her mouth was stuffed with two face holes. And besides, they found out the wet tissue that had been cement on it on the basket in her room. The first circumstantial evidence that appeared in this case is the wet tissue that stained with the accused cement on it. The learned DPP did a test by putting several drops of cement that he got from his laboratory refrigerator onto a couple of tissue paper. According to him, it took around 1 hour to 1 hour and a half for the tissue to dry up in an air-conditioned room. From this, he concluded that the tissue was used by the accused not long ago before it was taken by the senior investigation officer for the further investigation, since the wet tissue is still wet and it contains the accused cement on it. However, the judge rejected this circumstantial evidence since it stated that it doesn't need an expert to determine the different effect when putting that wet tissue in an air-conditioned room and when it's shaped into a ball and put it under a pile of clothing, whereby the tissue that has cement on it been putting plainly in an air-conditioned room will be most likely to dry up a little bit faster than the crumbling tissue paper in a ball shape under a pile of clothing. Besides, the second circumstantial evidence that appear in this case is the full body odor that the prosecution believes it was the accused's smell. The DPP argues that the full body odor could be the smell from the accused body after having a sexual intercourse and working hard to tie both of the deceased's hands and legs. However, there is no strong evidence provided by the prosecution in order to support his contention. Unfortunately, the court also rejected the circumstantial evidence because of the statement of Ken and Azura. Ken and Azura, both of them were housemates to the deceased. In the statement that they said they never encountered and experienced this kind of full body odor, and they confirmed that the body odor was not the accused's body. Since logically, if the accused have been visiting the apartment back and forth before, the housemates Ken and Azura will be experienced the full body odor before. The third circumstantial evidence that appear in this case is the DNA of the accused on the body of the deceased. The pathology, which is one of the witnesses, said that there are a huge amount of fluid in the deceased vagina that resulted by the ejaculation of semen and the fluid from the deceased herself. The chemist swabbed the vagina, and the result of the swab is the 60 to 70% from the fluid were the accused semen. So that the accused was the major contributor to the fluid in the deceased vagina. The judge also rejected the circumstantial evidence because it is insufficient to conclude that the accused murdered the deceased by discover the DNA of the accused on the deceased body per se. The judge also reminded that both of them, the accused and the deceased, was having an affair of intimate relationship. So it's logic to have their DNA on each other. Besides, the judge also stated that the accused will not be charged for having an affair or intimate relationship with the deceased or anyone else. I feel absurd that the accused was free and still around us up until today. And even if the accused was proven innocent, the real offender is still out there. As in this case, the accused was acquitted because of the lack of evidence due to the existence of the new evidence, new DNA which is unknown made, and the evidence is strongly rely on circumstantial evidence, and there is no direct evidence or eyewitnesses. So there's a lot of lag and flaw in this case. Besides that, the unknown man is still real. The real offender is still out there, and it feels unsafe to just roaming around because was never been detained after being committed such a vile crime 17 years ago. My condolences to the family. Next, evaluation. In section 5, evidence and scientificity stated that if the proceeding of suit has fact in issue, it will be declared as relevant. So, if the case is relevant, then it is relevant. So, if the circumstantial evidence is relevant, then the evidence will be admissible before the court. The case of interest against public prosecutor, this case is rely on the circumstantial evidence 100%. So the judge stated that the circumstantial evidence must satisfy such weight in order to be admissible. Besides, in the case of law can point against binti, the judge stated that the circumstantial evidence can be stronger than the direct evidence. However, in this case, the circumstantial evidence not satisfy the certain way that has been emphasized in the case of interest against binti. As for the conclusion, it's hard to prove the circumstantial evidence, but it is also possible to do so. In the case of Sunny Ang against binti, the accused had been acquitted and been charged under Section 302 Penal Code, even though the case was fully relied on the circumstantial evidence. This case also proved that the circumstantial evidence can be as strong as direct evidence in order to prove the crime that had been committed by the accused. If I encounter with this kind of similar case, the first thing first, I will try to search the direct evidence first and try to search for the eyewitnesses, because as in this case, the judge rejected the eyewitnesses, which is the two guards that saw the accused and the deceased together when to the apartment, but they never saw the accused left the apartment at the same time. So that's all regarding the case of Hanif Basree. Okay, bagi foto kita, thank you for listening. See you next time. Bye.